Tabletop role-playing news. We aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG doggy.
Hello, and welcome to Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG talk. I am Russ, aka Morris, or Morris, aka Russ. And with me this week is...
It's just me, Jessica from EM Publishing. So we are minus a PJ, which means I am also minus my weekly hype up act, which is a shame.
But maybe Marvin here can give you your weekly hype up instead.
Well, that's just as good, really.
it's just as good. Yes, I mean, we are all very, very highly trained professionals here on this on this podcast, and we undergo extensive training in order to do this. And PJ is currently away on the mandatory shark wrangling course, which all of us have to take once a year.
Yeah, it's a standard thing in the UK because we are an island, and maybe other island nations across the world do this as well. I don't know.
I'm sure. Yeah. So, what have we got on the menu this week? We've got some TTRPG news, I think.
We are. Well, that's what people come to listen to us about for the Tabletop RPG news. There is other news, but I think maybe if we don't talk about that, let's just focus on Tabletop RPGs instead.
Why change the habit of a lifetime?
Okay, great.
Okay. I did actually just get some breaking news, actually, which wasn't there literally 3 minutes ago. It's just been posted by... I think Christian Hoffer over on EN World, and it's about Hasbro CEO Chris Cox talking again about the usage of artificial intelligence in Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm interested. Discuss.
Okay, then. So Cox was in an interview with Semaphore and brought up the usage of AI in D&D and other Hasbro stuff, but we're talking about D&D. Cox described himself as an AI bull, which I think means
a bull, as in like
U-double-L. Yeah. Yeah.
And for podcast listeners, we're both doing
I just made that noise and Marvin got excited.
Well, it's thrilling, in fairness, but okay. Yeah. So an AI bull.
Yeah, an AI
as in a male
bull.
Cow.
I mean, there's two interpretations of that. One is, of course, someone who is very much into AI. The other might actually be a bull that is powered by AI.
How? No, I'm confused. Is this a standard metaphor? I don't know about I'm a bull for this means I'm very into this.
It means you charge.
Is that a common...
Yeah, you charge like a bull.
The main thing I know is like bull in a China shop.
You're bullish about it.
Yeah, so you're going in, using it and breaking a load of stuff in the China shop.
Like a China shop, yeah.
That feels like a really good analogy for using AI in Dungeons and Dragons, yeah. I'm just going to use it anyway, and I don't care about the collateral damage. Maybe that's not what he meant. I'm curious as to what he meant by that metaphor.
Well, I'm assuming what he meant by that was I am very enthusiastic about AI. And not that he is, in fact, a robotic bovine powered by AI, which is also possible, but I'm going with the first one.
Okay, yeah. We don't know that. We can only speculate. Chat has mentioned that the word bullish means that you really like something. Yeah, so that must be a turn of phrase I am not familiar with.
Well, now you have learned a new word.
I have. What else was said? Was it just that? Is that the only thing?
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't a lot. But basically, he says that he uses AI to generate storylines, art, and voices for his D&D characters.
Oh, I think you said this before. Yeah.
Yeah. And says that AI is a great leveler for user-generated content. He does say that the issue of current AI platforms that don't reward creators for their work, which is basically one of the biggest, it's not the only criticism of AI, but one of the big criticisms of AI.
It's a big one, yeah. So when I hear a lot talked about in tabletop RPGs,
the plagiarism aspect of it, yeah.
Yeah.
He says that he thinks that's solvable.
Oh, how?
Well, he doesn't say how.
Not
by him. I don't know.
A lot of people and artists have been worried about this, and if there is a solution, I would love to hear it.
I don't know. They do mention sort of subscription services that let dungeon masters enrich their D&D campaigns or offerings to let parents customize Peppa Pig animations, which obviously is another Hasbro brand.
Yeah, not necessarily tabletop RPG related, but could be if you're running a Peppa Pig campaign.
Yeah. Yes, he says it's supercharging fandom, and he thinks it's just net good for the brand. Yeah.
I am interested to hear that solution because
he hasn't actually given that solution.
I know, but
he just says he thinks it's solvable by somebody.
Oh, well, that doesn't mean anything. That's me being like, I'm sure we can fix global warming somehow.
I'm sure we can. I'm sure it's solvable.
Yeah, like that doesn't help me just saying that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, okay. As we know, the D&D has published their official stance on AI,
which is that they're not using.
They've repeated this a few times. Yeah, and they basically say, for 50 years, D&D has been built on the innovation, ingenuity, and hard work of talented people who sculpt a beautiful, creative game, and that this isn't changing. Our internal guidelines remain the same. We require artists, writers, and creatives contributing to the D&D TTRPG to refrain from using AI generative tools to create final D&D products. So what Chris Cox is saying and what the D&D department is saying are two different things, it looks like.
Well, maybe to give everyone a big teaspoon of benefit of the doubt, because I'm kind like that, maybe there is going to be a solution, and when they have that solution, they'll change their policy, because they're like, right now we're not doing it because of that worry, that he mentioned, but once there's a solution, we know it's okay, we think it could be a really good thing to do.
Yeah.
Which if that is the stance, maybe. I'm not necessarily 100% against that.
I know, but we're just kind of like inventing stances for them at this point. We don't actually know, do we?
That is what I'm doing, but that's what I bring to the podcast. Wild speculation, very little to no facts.
Yeah, fair enough. Me too.
Yeah. Well, you did bring the facts. You said this is the thing that's happened, and that's what happened.
Well, that was the breaking news, because that literally appeared just as we launched.
How exciting! I even made a banner on the fly saying breaking news.
Oh wow, that's impressive. That is impressive.
I know.
Yeah, we're like the BBC.
I think it might even be spelt right.
COCKS, not X.
I can't do everything. All right. Do we have the news then? Do you want to stay on D&D while we're talking about D&D stuff?
I wanted to do a little bit of sad news first. Get out of the way.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
So this week, Ernie Gygax passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So Ernie Gygax is one of the children of D&D co-creator Gary Gygax.
Mm-hmm.
Has been in ill health for quite some time, and I know was in hospital for like a couple of weeks prior to this, because there were photos from Facebook and things like that. So Ernie passed away this week, so I just wanted to say condolences to the family and friends. It's like Ernie, we kind of have to address it. Ernie was involved with some problematic people like new TSR and things like that, and you can't not mention it, but I don't think now is the time to dwell on that right this second. It's always sad when somebody dies, condolences to the family, to Luke Gygax, to those who knew him, his wife, and so forth.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to add beyond that.
No.
I think we're at the point where D&D has been around for 50 years, and TTRPGs is a space. We're now getting to the point where people that started the industry and doing things are passing away now, just because but so I think over the years we're going to get more and more articles like this, but this is kind of new for the industry, like doing journalism around stuff like this. I know internally we had some discussions about how we handle stuff like that and do it correctly. But
just an interesting tidbit. I'm sure most listeners know this, but the wizard Tensor, which many sort of spells and various bits and pieces in D&D are named, is in fact an anagram of Ernest, Ernie Gygax's name, and that was his character when he was a kid playing in Gary Gygax's kind of playtest games back in the 1970s, and made it into the official books as the Wizard Tensor's floating disc, things like that.
There we go. So that was the impact he had on the hobby.
Yeah.
And
Okay, why don't you give me a bit of news?
I don't really know how to segue into this.
No, let's forget trying to segue elegantly with that. But
yeah, do you want to talk about the D&D news about the starter set?
Sure, can do.
Okay, so first bit of news, there is a new D&D starter set. If you didn't know,
we've known that for ages, but it's coming out in September.
Yeah, maybe not everybody knew, but some people might. But it's called Heroes of the Borderlands.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you said, coming out in September, and we are having a little sneak peek about what is inside. And so I thought we got an article on it in EM World going into more detail, but I thought we could discuss it here a bit because it looks really interesting. Because it's doing
interesting. Yeah,
it's got a tile-based character creation system and has a load of cards and stuff like that. And yeah, I just think this is a really interesting approach to a starter set because it feels more board gamey.
I get a Hero Quest vibe from it.
Yeah, which is like a board game RPG type thing. Yeah,
because there's this video, because it was on display at New York Toy Fair, which was like last week, I think.
It was, yeah.
And Wizards were there, and they had a stand there, and this was amongst the things on display there. So various people saw this firsthand. It was right there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a video where you can literally see like someone from Wizards of the Coast just giving a little sort of 3-minute demo of it, and and it does have Hero Questy vibes to it.
Yeah,
and I don't say that as a criticism at all. Like Hero Quest, I've always thought things like Hero Quest kind of like would be a great source of inspiration for starter sets.
Yeah.
So what you get is each player gets a class board. They call it. So this is something that sits in front of you. It's like a big board with slots on it where you can place cards, and there's one for each class. Now they said fighter, wizard, cleric, and warrior. I think maybe they misspoke. They might have meant rogue there. Otherwise, that's an odd 4. I assume the 4th one is rogue, not warrior. So basically, you get a class board. So you sit there and you type your fighter class board in front of you. So all the basic information about the fighter is on that board. And then to this, you add cards to fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
So you can take like a species card. So you might take the human species card and you place that down in the species slot. And that gives you the information about what you get as a human. And then you might take a background card, like an entertainer or a guard or whatever, background card. Put that in that slot, and that tells you what you get there. And then the cardboard looks like it tells you. I mean, I'm getting all this from a 3-minute video. So if we'll put the link in the show notes. You can literally go and watch the video. You might come away with a different conclusion to me, but this is literally what I think I saw in that video. So then, like the fighter, it might say, and you also get this equipment, and it says choose chainmail, a greatsword, a lantern, and one other item, and you put those down on the thing, and then your like greatsword card will tell you how much damage it does. For example, on it, it's got a picture of a greatsword, and the damage is like little pictures of the dice, so it's 2d6s plus 5 or whatever, because your strength is the strength of the fighter is whatever it is. So it's all really designed to get people creating a character, because I want people to actually create a character, sort of half creating a character, and playing within like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And that does look pretty cool to me.
Yeah, I think it's a really clever thing to do. I mean, we've spoken before about a lot of people are used to creating their characters on D&D Beyond, and they don't either know how or just don't like, doing pen and paper, making your character. So I guess this is a way to get new people playing quickly without it seeming intimidating and a big task. So yeah, it's a way to get that in an analog fashion, which makes sense and feels really clever.
Yeah. I mean, Peter isn't here, but he and I have spoken before about character creation systems, which is kind of tile-based, where you take... So Wizards have beaten us to it, but Wizards weren't the first people to do it either, so... Yeah. But, where you take, your sort of like heritage or species, whatever, in your class, and each of these is a different card, and you put them together to build your character, because I think it's a really, really elegant way to do it.
It is, yeah. I think that's really nice. I think it's good for a starter set. And I think also if you're into your board games, this isn't going to feel too different and scary to come into role-playing.
It really does feel like it's turned it into a board game. Not as a criticism. I get why.
Yeah, no, taking inspiration.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot more role-playing games that take inspiration and blend board game mechanics and things like that now, and that often works really well. So, so I'd be interested to have a look at this. I mean,
yeah,
this looks like a really good product for new players or a GM that wants to welcome new people into the hobby.
I always get stuck behind the banners. What podcast we do, whatever live stream we do, I'm always the person stuck behind the banners.
I can swap us around. Hang on, don't worry.
Christopher Sparkle there just says, I am excited to see what they do for the adventure. Is it a redo of the classic? What new elements does it give, etc.? Just as a reminder to everyone, we are live streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, so you can join us live if you're listening to the podcast after the event. You can join us live on 2 p.m. on Fridays UK time or 9 a.m. Eastern time, and you can ask us questions and join in the chat. So I do know a little bit about this, again, only from the video though. This is not insider knowledge in any way whatsoever. So basically, what the DM gets is you get a 10-page DM guide, which basically introduces you how to run a game and things like that. And then there's 3 broad areas, which are the Keep on the Borderlands, Wilderness, and the Caves of Chaos. And apparently each of those has a short booklet, DM booklet to go with them. And each of those areas has a big poster map, which you place down. So that's the takeaway I'm getting from the video itself. Nice. You can sort of see in that picture there. It's kind of hard because it's kind of just a big picture of everything. It looks like there, you can see a keep there, you can see a wilderness, and you can see some caves. So there's 3 different poster maps there on the left of the picture. So that's what I'm assuming those are. And then the booklets that the DM have just like walk you through each one. You know, this is what you do. This is how you set this up, this area up. This is what happens if they go in here. This is how you resolve this trap, that sort of thing. Yeah. So, like I said, very hero questy, but in a good way.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I'll be picking this up just out of curiosity for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I probably won't pick it up, but it looks good. But I think I'm not the target audience for this necessarily. In fairness. Yeah. But I like what it's doing.
Yeah, lots of tokens and things like that with it too, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, that's absolutely the case. I do have a segue for the next news item, though, if we're done talking about this.
Go on then. Do a segue. Let's see how good the segue is.
You mentioned how this starter set has a lot of board gamey sort of elements, and as I said before, a lot of tabletop RPGs are getting inspired from board games. Much like the popular board game Terraforming Mars, which has a tabletop RPG on backer kit right now. How's that?
Segue. Brilliant. Yeah? Smooth. No, I give you 8 segues out of 10. I don't know.
Thank you very much. But yeah, no, I was excited about this. So the board game Terraforming Mars, loads of people really love this. I played it and I think I didn't love it, but I think it was overhyped. Like, I get it. It was good. I enjoyed it, but I got the same. Once. Did you?
Yeah,
what did you think?
I played it with Al once. It's probably more to my taste than yours, I think, actually.
Oh yeah.
Because normally, I'm not a big board gamer at all, but that one I quite liked.
Oh, interesting. You see, because I feel it did a lot, but I could get that same hit in a much more concise way from other board games. Yeah. I just felt like there was a lot of stuff going on, and it's not that it was too complicated to understand, because it's very understandable, but I just felt it had too many steps, and I really like board games when they're more pared down and really elegant in their design, and this just felt a little bit more But the issue with it might have been that it was so overhyped because so many people were like, "You're gonna love this, you're gonna love this." So maybe my expectations were here, and it was fine.
Hexagons, you see, anything that's got hexagons.
You just like hexagons. Right. I have some board games for you. Recommendations after the show, then don't you worry. But anyway, not talking about the board game. There's a tabletop RPG which is being made inspired buy this. The back of kit page, it's up, it's live, it's got over 220,000 euros.
Yeah, it's doing very, very well. Looks like it's coming a good 500,000 or so.
It's its own unique system, which I really like. It's based on the E-Stirrup system, ESTIRPE. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've not come across it before.
E-Stripe.
E-Stirrup. Yeah, but anyway, of Mars game system.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's basic. I think you will quite like this system because it's at its core like a D6, and you roll based on how many your ability score defines the number of dice pools that you have, and then you add anything on a +5 is a success, and a result of the 6 is a double success. So it's quite a simple core mechanic, which is quite nice. You can also get loads of other bits as well, like specializations lets you re-roll stuff. You can have masteries and special actions. So there is more to it than that, but that's the kind of core mechanic. There's really nice mechanics around like kind of hope, and there's physical and mental tensions in it. They've got some screenshots of the character sheets in there, so it looks like a really interesting system. I might be asking someone not D&D to explain it more to me because I am interested. So the authors behind it is Kenneth Hite and Gareth Ryder.
Yeah, that's some credentials there.
So
it's there.
Exactly. So it has got some serious like TTRPG veterans.
Yeah. For those who aren't familiar with those names, so Ken Hite, who always comes to Dragon Meet, by the way. So if you want to meet him, he's always there at the Pelgrane Press stand. So you can drop by and say hello to Ken Hite. Trail of Cthulhu, Knights Black Agents. He's the lead designer of Vampire 5th Edition. CV that goes back.
They've worked at Wizards of the Coast,
very, very prolific. Yeah, very prolific.
Trail of Cthulhu, Star Trek Next Generation. They've done a load of GURP stuff. But yeah. And
when you say veteran game designer and look that up in the dictionary, there's a picture of Ken Hite there.
Yeah. So it's got some serious TTRPG stuff behind it. And also what I love is they had an advisory team of doctors who like scientific doctors that know about like space and studied. Yeah. So they've got microbiologists that's advised them on certain mechanics and parts of the game and the world. And there's a planetary scientist who specializes in Mars and the astrobiology of the planet. And I think that's very cool. I think
it's cool.
Yeah. They've got some really nice art on. They've made it clear that there's no AI used.
So they talk about generational play as well. This is interesting.
Yeah.
And it has hexagons as well.
It does.
Even a role-playing game has hexagonal things in it, which is good. But generational play is interesting. So you play over these 4 periods of Mars. So you're not just playing one character all the way through, presumably. You're playing a series of characters throughout the 4 periods over Mars. So the 4 periods are the age of colonization, the age of corporations, the age of megalopolises, megalopi, I don't know, large cities, and then the Green Age, which is when Mars is basically covered in forests and sea and stuff.
Has been terraformed,
yeah, has been terraformed, yeah. So I like that idea because there's things like why am I having a mind blank?
I don't know.
Pendragon, the Arthurian game. The well-known Arthurian game does generational play as well. So I've never played it, but I'd love to try a game like that. A game that does generational play where you play various generations of people or characters.
But yeah, it looks really good, and I think a lot of people would look at a board game that comes in RPG and be like, "Oh, money grab, this, blah, blah, blah." Looking at this and the people that worked in it, I think this is going to be well done, and it's going to be a solid tabletop RPG.
I don't know what money grab even means either. It's a company making money, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you don't do it with a lot of care and love, if you just gave the license to someone and you didn't really care if it was a good RPG or something, do you know what I mean? If you were just like,
if you've got Ken Hite and Gareth Ryder hand in hand working on it, there's care and love going in there.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So I think this will be good. I'm tempted to back it. I'm tempted
as well. It's just whether I get a chance to play it. Like many of these things.
Collecting RPGs and playing RPGs is a
two different hobbies. Yeah.
I am playing RPGs this week though. I've not been very hot on. Oh, sorry, pushed the wrong button there. I've not been so hot on playing games, but I'm playing games today and tomorrow. RPGs.
Wow.
So
Nice. Whereas I'm collecting them, as you can see from the shelves behind me.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm playing Warhammer Fantasy tonight, which is my ongoing campaign. But Woofrup, as it's known. But tomorrow I'm getting to play Wonderhome for the first time, which is by.
So where you play animals.
Yes.
Yes.
So there's no dice and
What are you playing? What animal?
I don't know, because we're gonna create the story at the table because it's quite narrative.
Okay.
So we're gonna sit down to play. But yeah, so and it's
you get to play.
I haven't thought. I'm going to see what everyone else does. I always like being an opossum because, well, like the idea of being one, because you know the memes of startled opossums, just being like, ah! That's how I constantly feel inside. So I just feel that's a nice metaphor for my internal being. But yes, so maybe I'll be a possum. But we'll see. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, you play animals, but it's a lot about the journey, and you have a lot of flashback scenes in it and things, and it's about the community and the relationships between people, because generally you're walking back home after a war or a big event or something like that. So that's what it is. But yeah, I'm interested about it because the vibe was the group of friends I'm playing with were like, we're meeting up and we're like, that we want to play something cozy, because someone was like, no horror games, please, because it's not the time. So we're like, let's be cute animals. But anyway, and that's my segue for getting to play games. But I may, and to summary, to bring us back, I may back Terraforming Mars. I'm just going to look at my bank balance and look back at the Kickstarter page and ponder the two.
You know what other cute non-furry animal you could play?
I do. I know. Yes. Good segue. Carry on.
I think it was Peter who found this.
They did. PJ found it. Yeah.
You Are A Frog is the name of this game.
I am.
It is by La Leon. I believe that's how you pronounce it. La Leon Publishing. And this is a one-page TTRPG, kind of inspired by Honey Heist and other things by people like Grant Harrett. It's a one-page TTRPG, which you can grab on itch.io for just over $1.50.
Yeah.
And you play a frog.
Yeah.
You play a frog. You are a frog. You have always been a frog. You will always be a frog. But today you are a frog on a quest. And I thought that looked kind of fun.
It is. Like, you have things like what your mission is. You're trying to befriend or defeat a swamp monster. Or you can try and save the tadpole prince from certain peril. Are they getting married? Are they trying to do their taxes? You can decide. And then things like that. And
the annual Frog Olympics.
Oh, that's a serious one.
Yeah.
Maybe the high jump is what I'll be good at. But yeah, great. I don't have anything more to add on it. I love role-playing games that are really clearly named about what they are. And this is You Are a Frog. That is what it is. There's one I've had that's called Be a Crow as well, which is very clear. I like games like this. I know what I'm getting. And for $1.50, have fun. I'm going to get that. I'm going to buy that now.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you can actually see, because it's a one-page RPG, you can actually see half of it on the
yeah, I can pretty much see the whole thing, but I commend this being made. I want to encourage this behavior. This behavior should be encouraged with the $1.50. That's feeling very reasonable to me. But yeah, have fun.
Kind of cool.
I like that. Great.
A frog.
10 out of 10. No notes.
Yeah.
If you were playing Wonderhome, what animal would you be beside a frog or a possum?
It's all woodland creatures.
I don't think it has to be. I think you're limited by your imagination.
When I was a kid, my favourite bird was a kestrel.
That's really specific. Why?
Because we always used to drive to my grandma's house, and you drive along the motorway, and here in the UK, you often see kestrels hovering by the sides of the motorways because they can hover. Which is the other thing that I thought was really, really cool about them. Like, there's a bird and it's hovering, and I can see it there. Look. And I don't know, I just really liked kestrels for some reason because they could hover by the motorway. Which is something I, as a kid, could not do, and as an adult, I still can't do that. So
I thought you were about to say you can now, but now I have learned.
I tried. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
In chat, we have somebody said there'd be a sloth. Great. Fancy to be the sloth. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Interestingly, talking about flying, last week we talked about the Invincible tabletop RPG, the superhero RPG that's coming. Yeah, and you and PJ were talking about it, and it sounded interesting to me. And so I watched the TV show, and I watched. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I've been watching all of it. My other half was away, and I had some boring life admin to do for several hours, and so I needed something on that I could kind of half watch while doing something. So I had that on in the background all of last week, and it's pretty good.
Oh, you've seen more than I have. Then. I've only seen the first season.
I've seen all that is currently available on the internet to me. I enjoyed it. I am interested in how you do tabletop RPG because you clearly can't follow the main storyline. I'm not going to give any spoilers online, but I understand how you would exist in the world because you could do certain low-powered superheroes.
I assume that's what you do. I assume that's what it is in the world of Invincible, I guess.
It is, but the best thing about Invincible I liked was the main storyline because that was the most interesting thing. So I wonder.
You can say that about Star Wars, though, can't you? Or Lord of the Rings, or it's the same for all of them, but you still have to exist. I don't know. They still have to leave space for you to have your own adventures in that world.
I guess, maybe. But maybe that was just me struggling because I'm limited by my imagination. But I have watched all of Invincible and I really enjoyed it.
Very violent, isn't it?
I mean, yes, but because it's animated and I also enjoyed watching The Boys, and that is a lot. It's that level of violence. But
similar level of violence, yes.
At least it's animated, which makes it feel less visceral to me anyway. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that because I watched that, and
I'm going to be really interested to see what they do with that because I don't know necessarily how that's going to differ from any other superhero RPG because we've got like Marvel multi-hero universe, whatever it's called, out there at the moment, and of course if you want to go for a rules crunchy one, you've got mutants and masterminds. So I'm going to be interesting to see what they do to differentiate it because they're clever people. I am sure they will, but at this stage we don't know how.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Right then.
Let's talk about other tabletop RPG news. Do you want to pick something?
So we've got a couple of bits. Right. So I want to talk about a charity stream.
Oh, yes.
It's a Pathfinder charity stream organised by Paizo. And it's called The Lost Odyssey, Godfall. Well, it's a series. And the stars in this are amazing. You know when they sort of say celebrities, then you go, no, I've never heard of them. This is one of those situations. This is some famous people. We have got Matt Mercer.
Yes.
We've got Felicia Day. We have got Deborah Ann Woll, who's from Daredevil, True Blood, things like that.
Yeah.
We have got a Superman.
One of the
Superman. Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
We've got others. We've got Reggie Watts. We've got who else have we got? We've got Bill Rehor. I don't know Bill, but from Beadle and Grimm's apparently, which is the game company. But it is properly star-studded. This is properly good. It's in conjunction with Geek and Sundry, I believe.
Yes,
the donations. The charities for Extra Life, which is children's hospitals. Yeah. So good cause. The charity page is already open.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that. But they've done an interesting thing with the charity page that because the stream's not live yet and they haven't given the dates, but if you donate, it unlocks gears, props, and stuff that the players will use in the game. Yeah. So it's a way you can interact and contribute, which I thought was a nice touch. It's a nice thing to do. Yeah. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. No, I'm really interested. I always like these things. I don't know whether it's going to be live or pre-recorded because I like those ones where the audience is able to donate to influence the action live. Which is
they're kind of doing that in advance this time. So I wonder if that means it will be edited as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
They haven't said.
I mean, it says
it's listed. Oh no, it's listed as a live stream.
Yeah, it's a live stream. So yeah, possibly.
So I think it will be live. So yeah, they probably, and if it's a charity event, like you say, it probably will do those things you mentioned. That'll be cool.
But we don't know when it is. We don't know when it is.
When we do, we'll post it. And if you go onto
Geek, trailer for it. No?
There is a trailer.
You can watch the trailer, but we don't know when it is.
Yeah, but it's coming soon, and it's on Geek and Sundry. So if you follow Geek and Sundry, that will tell you when that's happening. But yeah, this looks Good. I like a good creative actual play things.
I like
Speaking
a
of
charity
actual
too.
plays, should we talk about another actual play?
Go on then.
There's another actual play.
Is there? There's more than one.
No, sorry, that's it. There are others you can watch. No, I'm joking. So the one I'm talking about here specifically has let me find the right image for it. Sorry, I'm just struggling. This is interesting if you're watching the podcast, obviously. Whilst
Are we talking Exandria Unlimited Divergence?
I am. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, I'm here. So did an interview on EM World. You can read it up. It's got Brennan Lee Mulligan, and Celia Rose Gooding. They're answering questions. Huh?
That's Uhura.
Is it?
On Star Trek. Uhura. Isn't that Uhura? Celia Rose Gooding. Yeah.
I don't.
From Strange New Worlds. I am sure that's
the new one. I thought you meant the old one.
No.
Yeah, I was confused. I was like, I don't think that's her.
No. Michelle Nichols died a few years ago, but no, this is Uhura.
I know her from Broadway things. I think she's like a big Broadway.
Yes, she is. I just looked it up. Yeah, it is.
But she is in Star Trek. She is in Star Trek TV shows. You're correct. I didn't know that. Anyway, those two people, they are in Exandria Unlimited Divergence, which is a mini series from Critical Role that we talked about previously. Remember, we're saying they were bringing it to a conclusion. Yeah, so it's an era after the gods were sealed away from interaction on the mortal plane, after the Great Calamity. So if you are a fan of Critical Role and know the lore in the world, apparently this fills some gaps. And it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a mini series.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know enough about the Exandria kind of world history to know exactly how it fits in. The Divergence, I assume people who follow this in more detail do know what the Divergence is, and this is when that is set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Celia had an interesting question in the article, though. Celia, who does play Uhura in Star Trek, they said, who do you think Uhura would play? And she said she'd be a bard. So maybe with a rogue multi-class.
Uhura, strikes me as a bard, I think.
She said she handled Sulu on the bridge of the Enterprise. I don't know if that's bard behavior, but maybe roguish.
Yeah.
So there you go. But yeah, I don't know much more about it to comment, but if you're into Critical Role, you'll be excited for this, and it's upcoming. It's happening this week, I believe.
Right.
So the next week. So yeah, if you're interested in the Divergence and keeping up with Critical Role things, there you go. It's happening. I also watched the first episode of the Critical Role animated series that's on Amazon Prime, The Legend of Vox Machina.
Yeah, Peter and I watched that for an episode like 3 years ago or something.
I've only just caught up.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
We only watched the first episode, and I can't really remember it that well, but it seemed fun.
It seemed alright to me. I think I'd gone straight from watching Invincible, and it was a real gear shift because it does have its silly comedy moments in it as well. It does have its heartwarming moments and danger and stuff, but it was such a gear shift. I kind of had to stop after one episode. I was like, yeah, I'm not ready for this quite yet. But it looks really well done. The voice acting's amazing. The animation's really good, and the music's really nice. So it's a really well done thing. So I see why it's done really well. But I might dig into that and watch that a little bit more as time goes by as well.
Yeah. Someone said leave it to Russ for a Star Trek or Bond reference. I was asked on YouTube because we mentioned last week that I was watching through all the Bond films and gave a bit of an opinion on Roger Moore and Sean Connery. We were asked on YouTube when I got to the end whether I'd give ratings for what I thought of the whole lot. And yes, I will be doing that. In fact, I am doing that.
Wonderful.
On EN World, there's a thread on EN World where I'm currently rewatching them and putting sort of little capsule reviews of each one and giving each one a 00 rating. Like it goes from 001 for a really, really bad Bond film to 007 for the best Bond films.
That makes sense as a scale. Normally 1 to 7 as a scale would drive me insane, but it makes sense in the context.
It makes sense for this one.
Yeah, I'll allow it. Yeah, put a link in the show notes for that one on the podcast. I don't have that to hand here, but it's on the
So I'm working my way through. I've just done Never Say Never Again, which is a dip back into Connery. And then I've got one more Roger Moore film, A View to a Kill, which I'm actually slightly dreading.
Is that going to be a 001?
Well, it's been a very long time since I've seen it. I suspect it will, but who knows? A couple of them have surprised me. Where I've rewatched them and got, this is way better than I thought it was. And a couple where it was like, ooh, I don't remember it being this bad.
Fair enough. Well, as you get to share your special interest, I'll also find an excuse to share mine in a sad way. For Baldur's Gate 3, because my excuse to want a podcast this week, I've not played any Baldur's Gate 3 in about 2 weeks now.
What?
I know. I'm having like proper withdrawals. No, wow. I'm not doing all right. Because I was away last week in the Shire. And didn't have a computer with me, and I went to play on Wednesday for my usual live stream for the cocktail hour, and the computer was broken. And I can fix it, but it meant it was one of those days where I was running late, and I was like, okay, I got 10 minutes to redo the stream. I'll just log on quickly and do it, and then something goes wrong with your computer, and it's more than 10 minutes to fix it. So I haven't played in like 2 weeks. So I think on Sunday I might sit down and do a deep dive.
You're going to need to do a special binge, like a mega binge.
Yeah, I think that's what I might do on my Sunday.
Yeah, just to top up your Baldur's Gate 3 reservoir.
Absolutely, I think I need to.
If it actually ran out, would you like implode or something?
I don't know. At some point, the obsession will wane. Like it, because this is what happens to me.
For quite a while now. I've been going for like a year and a half.
Yeah, I know, which is impressive. Because usually
every single conversation you've had with me for the last year and a half.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that's what my like hyperfixation focuses are, but they normally don't last quite this long. So we shall see. Anyway, there I've obligatory Baldur's Gate 3 reference in for this week because there was none in the news. Darn.
No, you had to force one in. You had to shoehorn one in.
I had to shoehorn that in, but I thought as you were shoehorning James Bond in, I will shoehorn in this.
I was responding to a listener.
Yeah.
I was being polite. I had no choice but to mention James Bond.
Okay, should we go back to doing actual tabletop RPG news?
Shall we do that?
Okay.
So what else have we got?
I'm playing my Wolfrock campaign tonight, Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game, which is done by Cubicle 7. And they also do Warhammer.
Yes.
And all that jazz. And there's a new Horus Heresy RPG coming out.
Do you remember last week I said that I just had some news come in on the inbox?
This was it.
It was embargoed until 6 p.m. So they have to wait until next week before we mention it. This is it. So it's a week late. Because we weren't allowed to talk about it until 6 p.m. last Friday. But this is it.
But we do cover the week's news then. But yeah, talk me through it.
Well, I'm not a Warhammer expert, but this is a 40k game. I'm not. I'm sorry. I am sorry. But it is a 40k game. And this is when there was like a big civil war with the Space Marines in 40k. And apparently it ends, this big civil war ends with the Emperor getting mortally wounded and gets placed inside a giant supercomputer called the Golden Throne, which causes the stagnation of the Imperium, which lasts until the present day. So I guess it's the civil war which created the current 40k universe, I guess. That's what I'm getting from that.
I am going to hesitate on commenting on any 40k lore because I know there are some people that know it very well and are very passionate about it. And if I get it wrong on the internet, I have
played one 40k war game once. And that's it. That's all my 40k playing that I've ever done.
I've not played it, but a group of my friends are in a campaign of it that they play on Sundays, and they're having a great time. But the GM knows a lot about the world and the lore, and they're having a great time.
I always like the sound of it.
Yeah,
it sounds really, really cool, but it's just never sort of like intersected with my life at the right time. In order for me to get into it. And certainly like the war game, like collecting and painting minis is not a thing that I'm ever going to do.
No, I gave the war game a try once. It just wasn't for me. When we had to get yardsticks out to measure it and things, I was like, I'm too easily distracted for this game because it's very precise. And people that love it because I have a group of friends that enjoy those games, and that's why I went to give it a try. It just wasn't for me. But I did really love the Warhammer 40k extra secret level TV
that Amazon
that
cartoon.
episode of that. Yeah, that was wild. They're dragging that box along and inside. Yeah, that was wild, and that was interesting. That made me actually interested to try it out. I was like, this.
Yeah, in the actual universe. I think the universe looks amazing.
Weird.
I just don't know enough about the games themselves.
But anyway, there is this new book coming out, so maybe this is the time for us to jump in.
Yeah, well, possibly. So there's going to be a core book and starter kit in 2026. So it's next year. There'll be pre-orders this summer. But apparently in this game, you play 2 characters.
Oh.
Which is interesting. So you get a primary character, and that character is a consul within the Space Marine Corps.
Okay.
And then you get a secondary character, which has some kind of specialty occupation. And then you can switch between the two. So I don't know how that works in game specifically, whether you can literally do it on a whim or whether you have to say, right, I'm playing this character for this adventure or what. But it does sound kind of fun. Yeah,
it's interesting.
I don't know what system it uses. I don't know what system it uses at all.
The Warhammer 40k has its
own system, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's Cubicle 7, but it doesn't use. Yeah, I don't know. Why am I saying this? I don't know.
It's different from Wolfrup, but I think I had a look at it and it was familiar enough. Like it was not the same system, just to be clear. Warhammer Fantasy is not the same, but there was enough in it that I was like, oh, I see. It's from the same people,
Yeah, I think I'd be more interested in 40k than I would be in fantasy, just because I generally like sci-fi more than fantasy. I mean, not exclusively. I love Lord of the Rings, but generally, I'm more of a I'm like 55% sci-fi, 45% fantasy.
Yeah. For Wolfrup, we're playing The Enemy Within, which is the classic story.
Yeah.
Really like the world, really love the table, really love the party. I don't love the system.
Right.
It feels clunky and unnecessary in places for me and unintuitive. And it doesn't feel like it has consistent rules for different things. But yeah, so it doesn't feel elegant and neat. And apparently the beginning of the adventure is a bit railroady. So it was tough for our GM, they said, to keep to the adventure because the way it's written, what happens is not the obvious things that players would do and not the things we wanted to do. So as the GM, they had to kind of work around to make sure we got where we needed to go without making it feel railroady. But that said, I, as the player, didn't know that was going on, so just had a lovely time. So really love the adventure, really love the world, really love the lore. But the system is just, I don't know if it's for me. And that's my review of Warhammer.
Do you know which version you're playing? Is it the latest one?
Yes. The latest one, yeah. So I think it's the second edition.
No, way further on.
I have the book on my shelf, so I could tell you, but I believe we're playing the latest one, and we're using a nice Foundry module for it as well. Yeah. So yeah, and that's my review of that. But Warhammer 40k I've not played, but the universe very cool.
Yeah.
And also painting minis is a huge part of that hobby.
Yeah.
Which is a whole hobby by itself, painting minis, and it's a whole thing by itself.
Oh, here we go. 4th edition is what it's on at the moment.
That must be what I'm playing because I know I'm playing the
Wikipedia.
One.
Yeah.
There we go. That'll be what I'm playing. I don't even know what I'm playing. But yeah, and this, but it's so it's not a system I'll be like, oh, you have to try this. But the world and the storytelling and things in it, I really like.
Yeah. Right. Have we got any more news?
We've
kind of whipped through it, haven't we?
We have. Well, it's been about an hour of us waffling, in fairness. So you're saying whipped through. We do talk. We've got Helena's Guide to Monster Hunting.
Oh, of course, yes. Hitting D&D Beyond.
Yes. I don't know much about this. Do you know much about this?
Oh, this was a Kickstarter like last year, year before, something like that. Made, I think, $1 million. I think it's on the $1 million. Yes.
1.8 million.
I was going to say $1.8 million.
1.8.
Yeah. And the news here basically is that it's another third-party item appearing on D&D Beyond.
Nice. So it gives you 4 new subs.
Yeah, what Wizard of the Coast is doing, as far as I can make out, is working its way through the list of $1 million 5e Kickstarters.
Yeah.
As far as I can make out, because pretty much all of them have been so far, and then inviting those people to put their content, well, not to allow their content to be put on. Yeah.
So if you want to be on D&D Beyond, all you need to do is have $1 million Kickstarter, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And just wait for the phone call.
If you want to be on the platform where you'll get loads and loads of sales, all you need to do is already have loads and loads of sales.
Easy.
Yeah, easy. Just do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just do that then. Why don't we just do that?
But we get asked a lot of times, when is your stuff? Why haven't you put your stuff on D&D Beyond? It's like, you can't just put your stuff on D&D Beyond.
They have to invite you.
Yeah. It's not an open platform you can just upload your stuff to.
And thanks for asking, people, but we don't get invited to those kind of parties.
No.
We've been at a convention where somebody's been around taking photos of all the stands and missed us. They literally took a photo of the stand to the left of us, to the right of us, the one opposite us, and then walked off. And we're standing like, oh, okay.
This was as far as I can make out. I'm not going to say which convention it was. It was the official photographer for that convention going around taking pictures of all the stands.
Yeah.
I saw them coming along. I mean, like, oh yeah, let's try and make sure it looks nice and tidy where they take their pictures. This is before the convention started. They were going around taking a picture of the stands before it was like it opened at like 9, so it was like 8:30 and 8:30 or something. Where I was, and then they come down the aisle that we're in, and they stop and they set up and take a picture of the stand on one side of us, and then they turn around and they take a picture of the stand opposite us. Then they turn around. And they move along and take a picture of the stand on the other side of us, and then walk off. I was like, we're like,
yeah. Well, I think we were both still there quite confused. We're like, did we do something? But I don't know. But so that's why we're not on D&D Beyond, because we haven't been invited, and we don't get invited to cool parties. I'm not sure why.
Because we're too cool.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the reason. That sounds like something my mum would have said to me when I was in school. We're like, why? Instead of saying, because you're weird, Jess, that's why. Like, which is the honest answer. But it's okay. It's good being weird as an adult.
It's an excellent being weird.
I think so. I love being a weird nerd. Like,
yeah, me too.
Tough when you're in school, but as an adult, great. Because you do all cool weird.
There was a time in my life where I didn't lean into it, and now I just like, hey.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can accuse us of not leaning into our nerdiness, like working full-time in TTRPGs and doing a weekly show talking about TTRPG news specifically. Like we're the niche within a niche. What?
No. Well, I'm talking about TTRPG news in public.
Oh, I thought you were serious. And I was like, what? Okay, anyway, should we talk about, there's one more piece of news as well. Okay. Do you want to talk about Level Up Gateway a little bit?
Sure. So Level Up Gateway is official platform. You know when people say, why aren't you on D&D Beyond? Well, we're on something else. We're on Level Up Gateway, which is the one we made ourselves because no one invited us to their parties.
We made our own party.
We're not allowed on Demiplane. We're not allowed on D&D Beyond. We're not allowed on any of them. So yeah, we said, okay, we'll make our own one then. So Level Up Gateway is our one. And it's coming along so well. So we did an update. We do a dev update every month, and basically the process we're in at the moment is each class as it gets added is a lot of coding. Like every ability, every feature is basically a little small computer program which has to be written in code.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of why you can't just upload yourself to D&D Beyond as well. Just if you're interested. It's like that's because someone has to literally write a computer program to make your stuff work. You can't just. It's not like you upload it to Drive Through RPG and it's a PDF which you wrote. Someone has to literally.
And it's the same for a lot of VTT platforms, which is why they don't just accept.
Someone just posted, "Oh, you heard that Demiplane and Roll20 are doing something together." Well, yeah, Roll20 bought Demiplane last year. They're very much doing something together.
Yes.
They're the same company now. But anyway, so Level Up Gateway is our one. We've been implementing the classes, sort of level by level. So we've added a thing on the front of the thing, so you can front page there, which you can see in this picture, which says what each class has reached so far.
Yeah.
So all except the Bard, Druid, and Sorcerer are now up to level 10.
You know, just the spellcasters that are the last to go up because they're the more tricky ones.
You know
All their tricky spells.
So my Thursday night game, we use this. Guess which 3 classes the players are.
The 3 that are
level
level 5.
It's like they've been left.
Of course.
But anyway, yeah.
They'll get there. That's the next on the roadmap, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult. I say it is difficult. It's not like I'm doing the coding myself.
Yeah, we've got someone else doing it. Gosh, that looks hard for them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. It is difficult, and it takes a very long time to do. It's hard work. So basically, all up to level 10 of often those 3 classes. Those 3 classes will be up to level 10 basically in the next month. At which point, what we'll be doing is switching around to some more of the background stuff and the sort of infrastructure stuff. People have been asking, when is there going to be an open beta? Now, we haven't fully decided. We have discussed internally whether or not to open it up publicly when all the core classes are at level 10. We might, but no promises. But that's kind of what we're kind of thinking at the moment.
Yeah.
Because we've got a lot of feedback from the internal, well, not the internal, the sort of closed play
alpha
test
testers.
From the alpha test.
That's just the original level up A5E backers.
I mean, this will still be an alpha test, to be honest, at that point.
Yeah,
it won't be a beta. It will still be an alpha test.
Yeah. But whether we open up the alpha testing to more people.
Yeah. I think there's a chance we might do that in a month or so. Maybe, basically, once they're all up to level 10. And
Christopher has suggested we open it up to all people who've responded on the live stream and left comments. And I'm sure Christopher is suggesting that purely altruistically, and with no agenda of their own.
Yeah. It's so cool, though. It is amazing.
Yeah, I'm really pleased about the way it looks. It looks really slick. It looks really professional, more so than I hoped it would be. Because like we're a small TTRPG company. We're not like, we don't have all this money to make.
Yeah, D&D Beyond. Let's remind everybody, was sold for $160 million. That's how big a platform it is. Small RPG companies can't just make $160 million platforms just like that.
It's not. Yeah, we don't have that. We don't see that much money.
No. Not even $160 to be honest.
$160.
All right, we do manage that.
Yes, I hope so.
Yes,
we have a chat. Yeah. Level Up Gateway is coming along, and if we decide to open up the alpha, we will let people know. It'll be on the front news page.
Yeah, I mean, we're literally using it in our Thursday night game, and basically just being able to just like roll the dice and roll ability checks and roll skill checks and all this stuff, and have it track your usages of various sort of like limited use abilities, and it's so cool. It does all that for you.
Yeah,
and it works, and it's really slick, and it looks properly professional. It looks really great.
Yeah,
I can't
quite like it.
I'm looking forward to when some of these sort of GM side stuff comes in as well, which is going to be cool, because what we want is, well, there's no point just talking about it because it doesn't exist yet, but sort of like a GM screen page where they can see all the vital statistics of the various of your characters, the ones that they're likely to need, like your passive perception and things like that. So, and can make secret rolls and control monsters and things like that. Can't wait.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway,
that's that. I feel like maybe
I think we're done, unless some news was broken while we were doing this, which I don't think has happened.
No, you did your breaking news at the top of the show.
I did. I think we're probably done.
All right. Well, should we go have a weekend then?
Yeah, let's go and have a weekend.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. If you're listening to this on the podcast after the event, don't forget you can join us live on YouTube, where else? Twitch
and Facebook.
Facebook at 2 p.m. on Fridays UK time. That is 9 a.m. US Eastern time, and you can ask questions in the chat and we maybe answer them. And just join us live.
Or if not, you can keep listening to the podcast.
And you get to see our faces, which I don't know, could be a bonus or the opposite of a bonus. What's the opposite of a bonus? A penalty. That's a bad thing. I don't know.
Yeah, depending on your alignment.
Depending on your alignment. Yeah.
All right. On that note.
All right. I don't know whether Peter will be back next week. But
we will keep you updated.
We'll keep you updated on that.
Because they're doing their shark training, so it depends how that goes.
Yes, yeah. The shark training says, yeah. And there's a chance, like, if Peter gets a leg bitten off, it could take more than a week before.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's an extended joke that's just not working, is it? I'm going to stop.
All right, okay, let's just stop. Let's just stop this whole stream. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All the tabletop role-playing news, we aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG.